Hey everyone, welcome to my first Patreon AMA. This is an AMA where my Patreon supporters can go ahead and ask me questions. If you want to be a part of this, head on over to my Patreon. You can find a link in the description below. Asking questions is part of the $1 tier, so basically if you support me on Patreon, you can ask me questions. I plan on doing these once a month, and you can go ahead and ask me anything, like thoughts on StarCraft Balance, preferences for StarCraft 1 or StarCraft 2, would I challenge a bear to a dancing competition, anything. Bearing, exceptions like, you're asking about political views or what have you. So, that said, we're going to move on to the questions. First question is, what was your introduction to StarCraft? I grew up on RTS games. My first RTS game that I played was Red Alert 2. And then I don't think I got introduced to StarCraft until I think I was in grade 6. Yeah, I think I was in grade 6, and my brother's friend was actually into StarCraft, and he told my brother about it, so then my brother got StarCraft on a computer, and then at that point I was aware of StarCraft, but I still didn't pay much attention to it until I was in high school, which I met a friend who was very excited for the release of StarCraft 2. And then when StarCraft 2 came out, which I think I was in grade 10 when StarCraft 2 came out, then I guess the rest is history. I've been a StarCraft fan ever since. Do you plan to ever visit Korea to meet Tasteless and Artosis? Yes, I would actually like to do that one day. Tentatively, my plan is to go out to Korea next year. I would like to do that, though I'm kind of waiting till the end of the year before I start saying fourth plans. So yes, there's definitely a desire to go down there and see a GSL live or ASL or what have you. And I hope to do that sooner rather than later, but we'll see. Life has a bit of a strange way of getting in the way of things sometimes. How long does it take you to create a 5-minute or 10-minute compilation video? It really depends on what the material is. So for example, if I'm doing a video for day 9, like a highlight video for him, those will take a little bit longer. And it depends how much editing or how much footage I have to go through for the editing. Usually the rough formula would be that it takes me, so if you give me let's say a GSL stream and it's 3.5 hours, it usually takes me about 5 hours to get through that to make a video. So basically take the length of the stream or the recording and multiply it by a factor of 1.5, and that's usually how long it takes me to make a highlight video. And sometimes they're varying lengths. Sometimes they're just 7 minutes, sometimes it's 14 minutes. It kind of depends on how much material there is in there, but the question is more how long it takes me to go through the footage, as the length of the final product doesn't have as much of the time taken is less dependent on the final length of the product and more just how much footage I have to go through. What software do you use? Could you use macros or templates to speed up production? The software that I use is Vegas Pro 14. You can find that on Steam. As for using macros or templates to speed up production, I don't think I would be able to, or at least not that I am aware of. If I did use macros or templates to speed things up, it would probably only be by a minimal amount. I don't think it'd have too much of an impact on what I do, because I already try to go for speed anyways, especially when I'm doing my StarCraft highlight videos. I try to go quite fast, as there's usually a lot of content to go through. What I do to try and save time though is that what I'll do is I'll download the video, and then instead of watching it and then making edits, I'll throw the video into the editing software, and then I'll watch and edit at the same time. So I'll go as I edit, whereas sometimes if I'm doing say a video for day 9, I'll take notes beforehand and then make the video, as there is benefit to watching the video first and then trying to edit, because then you kind of have an idea what to look for. Whereas if I'm going through a GSL video, Nick and Dan might say something early on that I don't consider to be good for a highlight video, but then later on what they said an hour ago actually leads into a pretty funny joke later on in the stream. It's well, shoot, I didn't include the first part, so I have to go back and add it. That doesn't happen often, but every now and then they'll reference something they said earlier that didn't make the cut. So and that's when I'd open up the video again and go back and dig for it, and that would add time, and that takes longer than say if I just take notes in the first place. But usually I'm fine with just going over once through while editing and watching at the same time. That'll get most everything. How did you get into editing? I got into editing, okay, well, let's back up. I first started doing YouTube, I think, in, 2017? Is that right? 2016 maybe. Anyways, I started doing YouTube, and I did primarily just Let's Plays to begin with. Though I kind of made the realization that no one was really watching my videos, which that makes sense because for like Let's Play content in particular, it's very easy and everyone can do it, and there's not a lot of editing involved. So I kind of figured to myself that I would need to start doing editing if I wanted to gain more traction. So in a way, editing was initially a means to an end to get more viewership on YouTube, but then it kind of just turned into its own thing. So, and part of the reason why I thought to do editing is because, like, just using the YouTube platform, I'd look around and see these other videos, like, oh, these are edited content, so I should try to start doing those because, like, it takes more effort to produce one of those than this, like, say, a Let's Play video. And then as I started doing editing, it really kind of opened up my world of understanding of editing, and I kind of realized that there's a lot I could do with it. And since I've been doing more editing, I have more ideas like what I want to do. Though primarily I do highlight videos, but I wouldn't mind experimenting a little bit more. But part of the problem is like it's just hard to find the time, as given by A, there being so much StarCraft content, and B, by me having a full-time job. Do I have any interest in doing editing professionally? Like the example here is like Hollywood or something else. Maybe. It kind of depends like what happens. Like I don't know where this is going to lead. I've always kind of envisioned myself being able to do like YouTube like as a kind of a dream scenario. If I could do this like full time, that would be ideal. Though whether or not that's going to be the case, like it's really hard to say because predicting the future is, I think, impossible to do in many ways. Like you just never know how things are going to turn out. So with that said, I don't have active interest in doing like editing for like, you know, Hollywood or like some other company. Though that being said, if the opportunity presented itself, I would definitely consider it. Like, it kind of like depends like where I am in my life and like what opportunities arise, right? Like I don't want to say no to anything, but the other thing too is like I don't know what's going to happen, right? So because part of the fun for me for YouTube is going on this journey and then being like, oh, I didn't know that this was going to happen, but it's pretty cool that it has happened. So I guess the discovery is part of the journey. So yeah, I guess we'll have to see. So that's it for the questions. Let me guys know what you thought in the comments below, like if you like this kind of video, or are there things I could do differently. I'm very receptive to feedback on this, as this is a new venture for me. If you want to ask questions, again, head over to my Patreon. If you just join like the $1 tier, you can ask me questions. So if you support me on Patreon, you can go ahead and ask me questions. We'll definitely be doing one of these next month. So until then, thank you all so much for watching the video, and I'll see you next time. Till then, goodbye.